Here's our problem set 1, and to get started you want to click on the magnifying glass on the top right corner, and we're going to type in blue J and hit enter. This window here is going to pop up, and what you want to do is go to the top right corner and click on project and say new project. Right. I'm going to talk at normal speed throughout the videos, so if you need to, go and just pause it and take the next step and play and pause, play and pause. So anyways, we're going to go to project and go to new project. We're going to call it problem set 1, like so. And make sure that this is showing desktop. So what does that mean? If we hit create, it's going to create our project, and it's going to put all of our files into a file called problem set 1 on the desktop, so that you can find it at a later time. So now what are we going to do? We're going to click on new class button, and we're going to type in P1A, like so, right, and hit OK. And when you do that, you'll have this class here called P1A. I'm going to open that class, and maybe I should delete it so I can show you guys how this looks from the beginning. So I'm going to go to new class just like you just did. I'm going to call it P1A like I told you to, hit enter. Now I'm going to open it up, and it's going to look something like this, right? So I want you to go ahead and delete the top portion here, and I also want you to delete everything between this curly bracket and this curly bracket there. So I'm going to go in between those two curly brackets and delete everything. Right. So now this is what we have, and I'm going to type in public static void main parentheses capital string bracket args parentheses two curly brackets, like so. So our program is going to lie in between this curly bracket and that curly bracket right there on line number 4. And so I guess we should also go to options and go to preferences, and then you're going to click on display line numbers here. Click on display line numbers. Okay. Say OK. And what that's going to do is going to give each line in your program a number. Makes it easier for us to talk about your work. So in here, what's the first thing that we want to talk about? Well, we want to talk about variables. Right? And in math, a variable is a letter that can represent any value, right? In computer science, variables are not exactly like that. Variables are storage locations for values. Okay? Storage locations for values. They're one of the 3 basic tools that you have as a programmer. First one is variables, branches, and then loops, which we're each going to learn about all of those in this lesson. So first step is, how do you create a variable? You create a variable by saying int num, short for number, and then how do we stick a value into this variable that we created? Right? What is this saying? This is saying I'm creating a variable that can store type int data. Right. What is int? That means integer. So ints are integers. And what are integers? Well, integers are whole numbers. Okay. -4, 73, 85. Right. Those are ints. And this here is the name of the variable. So our name of our variable is going to be called num. And so what have we done? We've created a storage location called num that can store variables of data of type int, values of type int. So now how do we put a piece of data into this variable? Well, it's pretty easy. Just put equals, right? We say 5. And so what is this doing? This is creating the variable called num, and the equal sign is taking the value on the right side of the equal sign and placing it into the variable on the left side of the equal sign. Easy enough, right? So now what do we have? We have the number 5 stored in this variable called num. Okay, well, great. So now we want to print out that variable called num. So how do we do that? Well, it's kind of complicated. It goes like this: system.out.println 2 parentheses, and you say the name of the variable, like so. So if I go ahead and run this, then we should be good. So how do I run this program, right? So this is us creating a variable, storing a 5 in it, and then line 6 is us printing out the contents of that variable. So this should print out the number 5. I run the program by pressing this compile button on the top left corner, compile. And if there are no errors here on the bottom, then you're ready to go. But if you type something in wrong, like so, and I hit compile, you can see that there's a error here at the bottom of the code. right? So make sure you got everything typed in correctly, and when you hit compile, it says no errors. And if you do have an error, just come and talk to me about it. And so now that I've done that, then I'm going to come here. I hit compile. Now I'm going to right-click the class and go to void main. And then I'm going to say OK. And this is going to run the program. And you can see it prints out the 5, right? Line number 4 creates a variable called num, stores a 5 in it. Line 6 prints out the value that's in the variable num. All right, so I guess that could be video 1. And before we go, let's go ahead and while we have this output window highlighted or selected, we can go to options and make sure you have it checked at clear screen at method call, and you also have it checked at unlimited buffering. Okay, see you in the next video.